Hey, Sandals Church men. I hope that you checked out Pastor Claude's message this weekend as he gave us a challenge that I think is really important for us, that really speaks to the heart of who we are. You know, a lot of our time and energy goes into making money, working our jobs, providing for our family, doing things that are good. Um, and one of the challenges is what do we do with that time and money? And I love this passage of scripture that, we would kind of look at this guy who like built storage containers for all of his food that he had stored up, and we're like, man, that guy's really smart. And the reality was he was foolish because he wasn't focused on the things that God was focused on. And I love how Claude just brought it to this um, kind of climax at the end of the message where he's saying, man, the real reward is waiting for you ahead. The real reward is sent before you into heaven, and it's based on what we do with what God's given us. Are we going to build something that's going to last? Are we going to invest in the next generation? Are we going to see people in heaven who have benefited from our lives and what we've invested? And so, a couple areas that we can focus on that I want you to really think about for your own life is how do you spend your money and how do you use your time? I think those two things really say a lot about us. And I think as men, we tend to be kind of selfish with those things. We want to hold that. We want to kind of keep a rein on that. And man, it's easy for us to spend money doing something fun with the guys. It's easy to spend money on a project, on a toy or a hobby. It's hard to be generous. It's challenging to be generous. It's easy to spend our time doing something fun that we want to do. It's hard spending time serving the church or caring for children or helping an old lady at her house, the things that very few people want to do. And man, God has called us to be different. He's called us to be what the world would consider foolish. And as the men of Sandals Church, I want to see us rise up. I want to see us be different than what the typical man is usually seen being. And man, we can buy a boat but not tithe. We can buy a new truck but not give our money to somebody in need. I mean, we can do so many things. And the reality is, this isn't a guilt trip. It's not about, oh, we should never have anything and we should walk around being poor. It's an honest look at, are we actually generous? And if we have to justify it to ourselves, if we have to do mental gymnastics to figure out how we're generous with our time and money, then we're probably not generous. And man, there's people on the other end of our generosity, whether that's time, talent, treasure. When we give those things, other people are benefited. There's people who are struggling and in need that benefit when we are willing to go outside of ourselves. And God's work is not always rewarding here on earth, but it is in heaven. And I know for myself, I can be really short-sighted in that. I can really not see what God might want to do with what I have to give right now and really focus on the temporal. And so I think, as many of our group times should be, is a time of confession, the time of really looking at, man, I've prioritized myself and my needs. I've justified my spending. I've justified my time and how I spent it. And I haven't really looked at what would benefit God's kingdom, what would benefit those whom Jesus came to die for. And so I want to encourage you to be really honest with your men's group, your small group, or people in your life that you're talking about this with, and to choose a life of faith that doesn't match what our culture values, it doesn't match what they see is important, and to really encourage one another. How can you help each other grow? How can you help each other be better at this, to be more faithful in these areas? And so I hope you have a great conversation. Man, I want to encourage you to dig into the questions, really wrestle with them. Just know that we're praying for you. We love you and we're here for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you need it. God bless you guys.